In a quaint neighborhood of Atlanta, where modern glass-fronted homes gleamed under the sun, stood a small, weathered house that seemed to belong to another era. Its wooden siding was faded and peeling, and the porch sagged slightly, as if weary from years of standing guard. This was the home of Mae Ellison, a 97-year-old woman who had lived there since she was 24 every morning. Mae woke at dawn, her routine as steadfast as the sun rising in the east. She shuffled the kitchen, her slippers brushing against the creaking hardwood floors, and brewed coffee in an old copper pot that had belonged to her late husband, Robert. The rich aroma filled the house, mingling with the scent of polished wood and dried lavender that clung to the curtains. From her favorite chair by the window, Mae watched the world outside. Children walked to school, neighbors strolled with their dogs, and delivery trucks rumbled by. Yet, she often overheard the whispers of passers-by. "That old house is such an eyesore," one woman remarked. "I can't believe it's still standing. It looks like something out of a ghost story." Mae sipped her coffee, accustomed to the comments that painted her home as a relic of a bygone era. The neighborhood had transformed over the decades. Once filled with families like hers, the street now boasted towering new constructions with polished chrome doors and tinted windows. The laughter of children had faded, replaced by the sterile silence of modernity. Mae's house stood as the last remnant of a time most preferred to forget. Inside, however, the house was a treasure trove of memories. The floors gleamed, and the walls were adorned with photographs capturing moments of joy and struggle. There was Mae on her wedding day in 1947, Robert in his army uniform, and their children small enough to fit in her lap. The library, a narrow room lined with bookshelves Robert had built, was her sanctuary. It held volumes of history, poetry, and boxes of yellowed newspapers chronicling the civil rights movement, where Robert had stood proudly beside her. Yet, as the years passed, Mae felt the weight of time pressing down on her. Each step up the stairs left her knees aching, and the simple act of carrying laundry became a daunting task. She still scrubbed the floors on her hands and knees every Saturday, but it took twice as long as it used to. The world outside whispered that she was too old for this house, and though she resented it, a small part of her wondered if they might be right one evening. As Mae sat in her rocking chair, she gazed out at the modern homes across the street, their lights flickering like stars. She reached for a small frame photograph of Robert, whispering, "It's just me now, Robert." The silence enveloped her, and she closed her eyes, letting the familiar creak of her chair fill the void. The following morning, Mae awoke with a sense of urgency. She had been contemplating her future, the house that had cradled her life now feeling like a burden. After a long conversation with her daughter, Evelyn, who lived 2 states away, Mae made the decision to sell. It was time to let go, to pass on the legacy of her home, as word spread to the neighborhood. The reactions were mixed. Some neighbors expressed disbelief, while others were eager to see the house torn down. Mae overheard snippets of conversations as she tended to her roses. "I heard someone wants to buy the lot and tear it down," one woman said. Mae focused on her flowers, inhaling their sweet scent, but the comments stung. When the real estate agent, Candace Young, arrived, Mae prepared her home with care. She dusted every shelf, polished the floors, and opened the windows to let in fresh air. Candace, dressed in a crisp blazer, stepped inside and was taken aback by the warmth and charm that belied the house's exterior. "This is beautiful," she exclaimed, her skepticism melting away as she explored each room as the open house approached. Mae felt a mix of excitement and dread. She polished surfaces that already gleamed and arranged fresh flowers in every room. On the day of the showing, visitors flooded in, their voices filling the air. Some admired the craftsmanship, while others dismissed it as outdated. Mae stood quietly in the corner, her heart heavy with each careless comment. But then, a quiet man and his teenage daughter entered the library. The girl's eyes widened as she traced her fingers along the spines of the books. "Are these yours?" she asked, pointing to the boxes of newspapers. Mae nodded, sharing the story of her husband's collection and their involvement in the civil rights movement. The man's expression shifted from curiosity to reverence as he realized the significance of the house. Word spread quickly, and soon journalists and historians flocked to Mae's home. The story of her house, once dismissed as an eyesore, transformed into a narrative of heritage and resilience. May found herself at the center of a movement to preserve not just her home, but the history it represented. As the city officials arrived to evaluate the house for historical significance, May felt a sense of pride swell within her. The house would not be torn down. It would be preserved as a museum dedicated to the community's role in the civil rights movement. She would be able to live out her days knowing that her home would endure, a testament to the love and struggle that had taken place within its walls on the day of the dedication. May stood before a crowd of neighbors, students, and city officials. As she spoke about her life in the house, her voice trembled with emotion. "This house was never meant to be anything special," she began. "It was a place where hope lived, where neighbors came together to support one another." Applause erupted, and May felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. The house that had once been a source of mockery was now celebrated as a legacy. As she looked out at the faces of those who had come to honor her home, she knew that the stories held within its walls would live on, woven into the fabric of history. In the days that followed, May moved into a nearby retirement community, her heart full as she watched the transformation of her beloved home. It was no longer just a house. It had become a beacon of hope, a reminder of the strength of ordinary lives woven into the tapestry of history. In the days that followed, May moved into a nearby retirement community, her heart full as she watched the transformation of her beloved home. It was no longer just a house. It had become a beacon of hope, a reminder of the strength of ordinary lives woven into the tapestry of history. As she settled into her new life, May often reflected on the journey that had brought her to this moment. She had let go of the physical structure, but the memories, the love, and the legacy of Maple Street would forever remain in her heart. And as she whispered to Robert's photograph each night, "We did it," she knew that their story would continue to inspire generations to come. Months passed, and the museum dedicated to the civil rights movement opened its doors. May was invited to the grand opening, where she was greeted with warmth and admiration. The community had rallied around her story, and the house had become a symbol of resilience and hope. As she walked to the museum, May marveled at how her home had been transformed. The library was now a vibrant exhibit, showcasing photographs, letters, and artifacts from the civil rights era. Visitors wandered through, captivated by the stories that unfolded within the walls that had once echoed with laughter and love. One afternoon, a group of school children visited the museum. They listened intently as May shared her memories, her voice filled with passion. "This house was a gathering place for change," she explained. "People came together here to dream of a better future." The children's eyes widened with wonder, and one little girl raised her hand. "Did you really march with Martin Luther King Jr.?" she asked, her voice filled with awe. May smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "Yes, I did. And it was a time when we believed in the power of our voices." As the children left, May felt a renewed sense of purpose. She realized that her story was not just about her past. It was about the future. The legacy of Maple Street would continue to inspire new generations to stand up for what was right, to fight for justice, and to believe in the power of community. In the evenings, May would sit in her new apartment, surrounded by the memories of her life. She often found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her here. The house on Maple Street had been more than just a home. It had been a sanctuary of love, a witness to history, and a beacon of hope. One night, as she gazed out at the stars, May whispered to Robert, "We did it, my love. Our story will live on." And in that moment, she knew that the heart of Maple Street would forever beat in the lives of those who had been touched by its legacy.